We're back with Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Unfinished Business, bonus episode 2. LJ and Roderick go way back. When they met, LJ was a football star at Clark Atlanta University, where he, Angela, Regina, and Marcus were all students. At the time, Captain Arrington was a sergeant, and his job was to go around to the colleges and universities in the local area to recruit. He would find the best, the brightest, and the most athletic students in an attempt to increase the diversity of the police department that he represented. Sometimes he would visit those campuses alone, and sometimes he would take new recruits with him so that the students would see young faces that looked just like them on the force. Then Sergeant Arrington was about 10 to 15 years, most of the students senior. So he knew that some of the students would be more interested if they saw someone in their age group. So when he recruited LJ, he took Q along with him. Q and LJ were members of the same fraternity. They quickly hit it off, and Q became LJ's mentor and friend. For LJ, who lost his father at a young age, Arrington was like a father figure in addition to being a boss and a friend. His influence on Q was limited because Q had his own father. But a somewhat impressionable LJ had found a way to remain friends with Captain Arrington despite his betrayal of Q. And Q, being a real friend, never asked LJ to choose. While LJ did not approve of Captain Arrington sleeping with Q's fiance the night before their wedding, he was a lot more open to believing the version of the story that Captain Arrington told at the time. He also never really liked Amora, and his position was that it took two. At the time, Captain Arrington weaved a tale that included Amora being the seductress. Q's bachelor party was held the night before the wedding, and he abruptly left the bachelor party with LJ to go and try to save Danielle. The bachelor party continued, but when Q and LJ didn't return, it ended and all of the men went home. Captain Arrington claimed that he was inebriated. Amora had used her spare key given to her by Q to get into the apartment and was waiting for him in his bed, and he didn't even know who it was. By the time he realized that it was Amora who he was taking down, it was too late to turn back. He had no clue that Q and LJ had walked into the apartment and caught them. But the next morning, he actually called Q to tell him what happened. Q didn't accept his call, and when Captain Arrington went to voicemail, he left a voicemail message letting Q know that there was an issue, something happened, they really needed to talk, and that he was seriously apologetic. He didn't say what it was, and since Q hadn't confronted anyone at that point, there was no reason to believe that Captain Arrington's story wasn't the truth. Ridiculous, a terrible excuse, but the truth no less. Q and Captain Arrington were never able to reconcile their relationship, but they were able to let bygones be bygones so that they could both participate in LJ and Regina's wedding. So when LJ sat down across from Captain Arrington, he had questions and he needed answers. "What up, Cap?" LJ said. "What's going on, L?" Captain Arrington replied. "Shoot, I can't call it. I was coming to check your pulse," LJ responded. Captain Arrington said, "What's going on with you?" LJ said, "I don't know if you've heard about what went down in Dallas a couple of weeks ago." Captain Arrington said, "Yeah, I heard Deuce and his wife were the victims of a home invasion, and somehow him and Q both got injured. What happened?" LJ said, "It's a long story, but apparently Deuce's wife, her partner in her real estate company, got involved with a dude who was in some money laundering and fraud scheme. Deuce figured out something wasn't right. DPD got involved. He got caught, but he was connected to some dangerous people. It just so happens that Q was using them for real estate. And when he found out about it, he called me in and we got on the case. We were able to peacefully interrupt their plans, but we weren't able to stop them before the home invasion. In the end, almost everybody connected to the criminal enterprise has been arrested and they're being prosecuted. But I can tell it's not really over." Captain Arrington asked, "What makes you say that?" LJ said, "Well, let's call it intuition." Captain Arrington said, "Well, I was surprised that you didn't call me. You know I would have helped you out. That's not my jurisdiction, but I know some people in Dallas." LJ said, really? Well, maybe you can help me figure out how Charlie Robinson, who used to be a branch manager at the Bank of the Carolinas, managed to get a position as the chief of operations for the entire mortgage branch of the Bank of Dallas. Captain Aronson said, Charlie Robinson. Doesn't sound familiar to me. LJ said, okay, well, look into it. Let me know what you find. Captain Aronson said, no problem. So what else has been going on? LJ said, nothing going on over on my end. What's been going on with you? You still been going all around the southern seaboard recruiting for the department? Captain Aronson said, nah, I had to go ahead and pass that torch. Them young bucks ain't paying no attention to an old head like me. That's a job for the next generation. LJ said, right. Plus, it's not as easy for you to pull them tenders now that you're getting up in age, huh, Pops? Captain Aronson said, now, I still got it now, but yeah, I ain't able to pull them co-eds like I used to. What you know about that? LJ said, what? Please, you was notorious on my campus. I know you ain't think I didn't know. Now, I ain't had no problem pulling whatever I was trying to get at, because I was on the football team. But a lot of my partners was having a hard time with shotties whenever Sergeant Arrington was on the campus. Them young girls, they loved them some older men, especially a man in uniform. My partners hated to see you coming, because they already knew they wasn't getting no love from the shotties when you was around. Captain Arrington said, dang, I ain't realize y'all knew what was up. LJ said, man, come on, of course. And you know them bros was talking. You gotta think. You was older and wiser and way more experienced than us. So when we would try to lay our mat game down, they wasn't feeling us. Captain Arrington said, right. Yeah, I had a real good run, especially at the HBCUs. I made sure to keep it over 18 now. LJ said, yeah, of course. Ain't like you was a pedophile. Come on now. 18 to 80. Blind, cripple, or crazy. Captain Arrington finished for him, and they both laughed. Then Captain Arrington started really feeling himself. A lot of them broads, they had boyfriends back at home or on the campus, but when I would show up, it wasn't nothing but a phone call or a knock on them dorm doors. All I had to do was pull up outside in my Porsche, take them out to get something to eat, take them back to my hotel, and if they needed a little incentive, I'd supply it. But before the night was over, LJ said, I know that's right. Is that how you got at Amora the first time? Captain Arrington said, what? LJ said, Amora, you know, Q's ex. Don't tell me you done forgot about her. Dang, it was that many broads. Captain Arrington said, what you talking about, L? LJ said, some years after that whole situation with her and Q and you, I ran into her. And she told me that she knew you back in her co-ed days. She told me that she convinced you not to tell Q. And it made sense why you wouldn't have told him that you had already been with his broad. I'm not judging you. That's old news. I was just asking. Captain Arrington said, oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's what happened. Let me find out they done got back together. LJ said, hell nah, he been moved on. He ain't thinking about that girl. He couldn't care less. Captain Arrington said, oh, okay. LJ said, yeah, nah. He don't even know that I know. I would never tell him that. Captain Arrington said, good. Because he dodged a bullet with that one. LJ said, word? What happened, yo? You know I couldn't stand that broad. I was so glad they didn't get married. The best thing you could have ever did was take her down the night before the wedding. I told Q that back then. That's why he was so amenable at my wedding. Captain Arrington said, word? You told him that? LJ said, hell yeah. Captain Arrington said, that's what's up. Yeah, man, that broad, whoo, I got stories for days. LJ said, word? Listen, bro, you know I've been married to Regina for freaking forever. So I be living vicariously through all my partner's stories, man. Come on, man, I know you got something good. Captain Arrington fell for the bait. He said, so listen, right? I met her when she was a freshman. Q wasn't even at the school yet. Her and her friends was too young to buy alcohol. And Captain Arrington proceeded to tell LJ all about how he plied underage girls with alcohol and drugs in exchange for sexual favors. He told LJ about his sexual relationship with Amora that spanned from her freshman year all the way up to the night before Q's wedding. In his version of the story, he cut it off when he realized that Q was serious about her and he had joined the force. But then Amora reinitiated their sexual relationship when she believed that Q was having an affair with Danielle. According to him, he never gave her any reason to believe that Q was being unfaithful. When he got to that part of the story, LJ said, "For real? That's crazy." Because months later, she came to my door saying that she really needed to get in contact with Q about something important. And I ended up connecting her with one of his family members because she told me that you had told her that me and Q was sleeping with victims, witnesses, and coworkers, and that was what you used to get her to start up a sexual relationship with you again. She said that you told her if she didn't sleep with you, you were going to turn Q in and he was going to lose his job and get arrested. Captain Arrington said, "What? Why in the hell would I need to do that? When that slut..." Wait, what else did she tell you? LJ said, "She told me that you were angry that she chose Q over you. She told me that it wasn't a casual affair between you and her. That you were jealous that she was with Q. That you were manipulating and strong-arming her." Captain Arrington said, "Where is she? I'll break her damn neck." LJ said, "Yeah, and she said you were violent too." You know what? Let's go back for a minute. It's wild that you say you don't remember a Charlie Robinson. But I went back in my files, and I remember a case where Charlie Robinson was accused of embezzling money from the Bank of the Carolinas. It was a case that you and I handled. A case that somehow got dropped due to insufficient evidence. And when I checked, I found that Charlie changed banks, moved up the ranks, and accepted a job at the Bank of Dallas right around the time that Travis started his little scheme using Deuce's wife's real estate agency. That's an interesting coincidence, wouldn't you say? Captain Arrington looked at LJ and said, "What are you up to?" At that moment, federal agents walked into the Ritz-Carlton and asked Captain Arrington to come with them. He looked at LJ and said, "I spared you all these years because you were the loyal one. Because you remained neutral. You just made a big mistake."